In the vast and complex landscape of the human spirit, there exist souls that operate on a different frequency. They are not loud, nor do they seek the spotlight. Instead, they are the quiet observers, the deep listeners, the keepers of an ancient and profound empathy. This is the world of the INFJ, one of the rarest of all personality archetypes. They move through life not with a map, but with a compass of intuition, guided by a deeply felt desire to understand, to heal, and to connect with the authentic heart of others. Yet this very depth, this luminous quality of their spirit, can inadvertently cast a long shadow, attracting those who exist in emotional darkness, those who seek to control what they cannot comprehend, and to possess what they cannot create within themselves. This is the story of a peculiar and often painful magnetism, the pull between the narcissist and the INFJ. It is a dynamic as old as time itself, a moth drawn not to a simple flame, but to the intricate warmth of a hearth it wishes to consume. It is not a story of weakness, but a testament to a unique form of strength that the narcissist finds both intoxicating and infuriating. The narcissist operates on a deficit, an endless hunger for energy, validation, and control. The INFJ, by their very nature, offers a wellspring of these things, not as a transaction, but as a gift. It is this imbalance, this beautiful and dangerous asymmetry, that ignites an obsession. This is an exploration into the 6 core reasons why this toxic fixation occurs, a journey into the heart of power, insecurity, and emotional warfare. Understanding this dynamic is not merely an academic exercise. For the INFJ, it is a crucial act of self-preservation. It is the key to transforming a pattern of blame into a foundation of boundaries. Because no matter how gentle their exterior, no matter how much they yearn for harmony, the INFJ was never meant to be a vessel for another's ego. Their spirit is not a territory to be conquered. By unraveling the mechanics of this obsession, we begin to reclaim a fundamental truth. The most profound strength is not the power to control others, but the quiet courage to understand and protect oneself. Our first reason is perhaps the most fundamental. The INFJ's profound empathy makes them irresistible targets. Empathy for the INFJ is not a learned skill. It is the very air they breathe. They do not simply sympathize with people. They feel with them, absorbing the emotional currents in a room as if they were their own. They can sense the unspoken pain, the hidden anxieties, the quiet joys that ripple beneath the surface of social interaction. This is their gift, allowing them to forge connections of unparalleled depth and to offer a healing presence to those in turmoil. But to the narcissist, this gift is seen not as a virtue, but as a vulnerability, an open door to an unguarded resource. A narcissist is a hunter of emotional supply. They scan their environment for individuals who give freely, who listen without judgment, and who invest their time and energy without demanding an equal return. The INFJ provides all of this instinctively. They sense a flicker of pain in someone and are compelled to move closer, to offer comfort, to understand. This is the bait. The narcissist, a master of mimicry, will initially present a carefully crafted facade of a wounded soul. They will mirror the INFJ's depth, feign emotional intelligence, and share stories of past betrayals, whispering the words the INFJ longs to hear. "You are the only one who truly understands me." This creates an immediate, powerful bond built on the INFJ's genuine desire to help the misunderstood. Once this emotional investment is secured, the dynamic begins its insidious shift. The requests for support morph into demands. The shared vulnerability is weaponized, and conversations are twisted until the INFJ is laden with a sense of guilt for slights they never committed. Because of their naturally introspective nature, the INFJ immediately looks inward, asking, "What did I do wrong? How can I fix this?" They redouble their efforts, offering more patience, more understanding, more of themselves. This is the moment the narcissist confirms their control. The INFJ's compassion, their greatest strength, has been successfully turned into the very chain that binds them. They remain, not out of weakness, but out of a profound, heartbreaking hope that they can still heal the person who is now actively causing them harm. The second reason is the INFJ's innate desire to help and to heal. At their core, INFJs are driven by a sense of purpose that is tied to mending what is broken, whether in society or in an individual. They are the archetypal counselors, guides, and champions of human potential. They see the glimmer of gold within the rock and believe, with unwavering conviction, that it can be brought to the surface. A narcissist senses this restorative impulse immediately, and so they present themselves not just as wounded, but as a masterpiece in need of restoration. They are the ultimate fixer-upper project, a puzzle the INFJ feels uniquely equipped to solve. The narcissist doesn't seek healing. They seek the unwavering attention that the healing process provides. This creates a devastating cycle. The INFJ invests their heart and soul, offering profound insights, endless patience, and unconditional support. Yet, every attempt to help is subtly sabotaged by the narcissist. Advice is ignored, progress is undone, and new crises are manufactured to ensure the INFJ remains perpetually engaged, perpetually needed. The goalposts are always moving. The INFJ, clinging to the initial vision of the person's potential, believes they just need to try a little harder, love a little more. They do not yet see that the game is rigged. The narcissist does not want to be fixed. They want to be the permanent, tragic center of the INFJ's world, feeding on the energy, hope, and light of the one person who believes in them. It's a psychological vortex, built on the INFJ's hope and the narcissist's hunger. The third reason lies in the INFJ's natural aversion to conflict. INFJs are architects of harmony. They crave peace in their environment and relationships, often going to extraordinary lengths to de-escalate tension and mediate disagreements. They will listen, compromise, and absorb a certain amount of discord to maintain equilibrium. A narcissist, however, thrives on chaos and emotional dominance. They see the INFJ's desire for peace not as a noble quality but as a strategic opening. They learn quickly that the INFJ will likely retreat rather than fight, will concede a point to end an argument, and will apologize first to restore calm. This peaceful nature becomes an ideal landscape for the narcissist to establish control without facing significant resistance. This dynamic of conflict avoidance allows the narcissist to slowly erode the INFJ's boundaries. They push, they criticize, they gaslight, knowing that each transgression will likely be met with quiet introspection rather than a direct confrontation. The INFJ, in their mind, is not being weak. They are trying to understand, to give the benefit of the doubt, to choose their battles wisely. But with a narcissist, every battle is the war. By the time the INFJ realizes that their silence has been misinterpreted as consent, they may find their own voice has become a whisper. Yet, when an INFJ reaches their breaking point, they do not declare war. They simply and quietly withdraw their peace. They become an island the narcissist can no longer reach. And this silent detachment is often more maddening to the narcissist than any loud confrontation ever could be. Fourth, the INFJ's high standards and perfectionism become a tool of manipulation. INFJs are idealists at heart, driven by a powerful sense of integrity and a vision for how things could be. This applies to their work, their moral code, and especially their relationships. They hold themselves to an incredibly high standard, always striving to do the right thing and to be a better person. The narcissist sees this internal drive for excellence and learns to weaponize it. They begin by praising these standards, only to later use them as a yardstick the INFJ can never measure up to. The criticism is constant and ever-shifting. One day the INFJ is too emotional, the next, too distant. They are never quite right, never quite enough. The INFJ, with their commitment to self-growth, internalizes this criticism. Instead of recognizing it as abuse, they see it as a challenge for self-improvement. They fall into a trap of overcorrection, endlessly adjusting their behavior to meet the narcissist's impossible and inconsistent demands. The narcissist maintains control by keeping approval just out of reach, ensuring the INFJ is always striving, always off balance, and always focused on their own perceived shortcomings rather than the manipulator's toxic behavior. The journey to freedom for the INFJ begins when they realize that their worth is not defined by another's approval, and that true growth comes not from pleasing an oppressor, but from embracing their own beautifully imperfect humanity. The fifth reason is rooted in the INFJ's introverted nature and their profound need for solitude. For an INFJ, time alone is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is how they process the immense amount of emotional data they absorb from the world. It is where they reconnect with their intuition and restore their inner balance. A narcissist, however, views this need for solitude as a direct threat. Control requires constant access, and when the INFJ retreats into their inner world, that access is denied. The narcissist cannot manipulate a mind they cannot reach. And so, they begin a campaign to pathologize the INFJ's solitude, framing it as selfish, as a rejection, or as a sign that the INFJ is broken. They will manufacture emotional crises to pull the INFJ out of their quiet space. They will use guilt, fear, and accusations of coldness to make the INFJ feel that their basic need for rest is a betrayal. Conflicted, the INFJ often compromises, sacrificing their restorative solitude to keep the peace. But this sacrifice comes at a great cost. Without that time to recharge, they become anxious, overwhelmed, and disconnected from the very intuition that serves as their guide. The path to reclaiming their power lies in fiercely defending this sacred space, understanding that their solitude is not a withdrawal from life, but the very act that allows them to participate in it wholly and healthily. Finally, the sixth and most critical reason, the INFJ's powerful intuition is both a prize and a profound threat. An INFJ's intuition is more than a gut feeling. It is a highly developed pattern recognition system. They see the subtle inconsistencies, the flicker of falsehood in someone's eyes, the dissonant note in a story that sounds perfect on the surface. They can sense the truth behind the mask. A narcissist whose entire existence is built upon a carefully constructed false self finds this terrifying. The INFJ's insight threatens to expose the emptiness behind the facade. Therefore, the narcissist must either co-opt this insight or destroy the INFJ's faith in it. The primary tactic is gaslighting. When the INFJ voices a concern or points out an inconsistency, the narcissist will react with feigned bewilderment or anger. They will accuse the INFJ of being too sensitive, overthinking, or making things up. It is a deliberate and strategic assault on the INFJ's greatest strength. For a time, it may work. The INFJ, ever willing to self-reflect, will question their own perceptions. But the truth has a resonance that cannot not be silenced forever. A deep, quiet knowing persists, a feeling of wrongness that grows until it can no longer be ignored. When an INFJ finally decides to trust their intuition over the narcissist's words, the game is over. They do not need to fight or to prove they were right. They simply see. And once they truly see the narcissist for who they are, the spell is broken. They withdraw their energy, their belief, and their presence, often with a quiet finality that leaves the narcissist stunned. They do not leave in a storm of drama. They leave like the tide receding from the shore, a slow, silent, and irreversible departure. The narcissist is left exposed, not by an accusation, but by the profound and empty silence of someone who has seen the truth and has chosen to walk back toward their own. The obsession a narcissist feels for an INFJ is a tangled web of admiration, envy, and a desperate need for control. They are drawn to the INFJ's light, yet their only instinct is to try and contain it, to own it, and ultimately to extinguish it when it threatens to reveal their own darkness. They see a depth they can never possess, an empathy they can only mimic, and an intuition that serves as a constant, silent judge. They believe that by controlling the INFJ, they can somehow absorb these qualities. But the spirit of an INFJ cannot be broken or possessed. It may be bent, it may be bruised, and it may be forced into retreat. But it will always, eventually, seek its own truth and its own light. For any INFJ who recognizes their story in these words, let this be a validation. Your empathy is not a weakness. It is a superpower that must be wielded with wisdom. Your desire to heal is not naive. It is a gift that must be given to the deserving. Your aversion to conflict is not cowardice. It is a quest for peace that must begin within yourself. And your intuition is not paranoia. It is your most faithful guide, your truest compass in a world of illusion. Trust it, honor it, defend it. You are not here to be a source of supply for the empty. You are here to become whole. The journey away from a narcissistic dynamic is a return to self. It is the process of learning that setting a boundary is not an act of aggression, but an act of profound self-respect. INFJs are not victims in this story. They are survivors, learners, and, ultimately, thrivers. Each painful experience only serves to sharpen their insight, fortify their spirit, and deepen their understanding of the human condition. They emerge not hardened, but wiser, their quiet strength now forged into an unbreakable shield. If this exploration has resonated with your own journey, perhaps sharing it can serve as a quiet light for another who may be navigating their own path out of the shadows. For in understanding, we find our freedom.